All right. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Um, I'm Erin. So today, as part of the Global Empowerment Summit, I'm going to talk briefly about empowering ourselves with self-compassion. It's basically about being kind to ourselves and how that can be uh, helpful to increase our um, resilience. Yeah. Um, so yeah. So to introduce myself, I'm one of the co-partner in the Empowerment Group, which is a global partnership of mental health and psychosocial support services providers in Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and Australia. As you can already tell that I'm an Indonesian and I'm residing in Indonesia. Some of my partners are residing in Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia. So we are in different countries with different backgrounds, different cultures as well. So from this empowerment group, we are aiming to empower individuals, organizations, and communities with an evidence-based, culturally sensitive, and also a holistic mental health tools, because we believe that mental health is a holistic well-being rather than just the absence of uh, mental health conditions. Yeah. So what we are aiming is for the improving well-being, productivity, growth, and also happiness. Right. So just to briefly introduce my team, so I'm the co-partner uh, of the TEG. I'm also a counselor, a counseling psychologist with experience in some mental health community programs and also educational institution. Well, some of my team members, like Dr. Yopelis, is an expert in the mental health, especially counseling, and she's also a lecturer, a researcher. Dr. Aman is a counseling psychotherapist who is a very seasoned, who is also a very seasoned researcher and expert in advocacy. Catherine Oy, she's a vice chairman of the Malaysian Hospice Council, and her field of expertise is in grieving and loss and bereavement. Uh, Last but not least, another partner of mine, Anne Shirin Pillai, who is a counseling psychotherapist, coach, and also an educator. Yeah, so we are very coming from a various backgrounds, coming together to with with the hope of empowering um, our surroundings. Right. So the objective of this webinar or this workshop, mini workshop, is to understand what does it mean to being compassionate to ourselves. Yeah? Breaking the misconception about self-compassion. Some of us have probably have a slightly different understanding about self-compassion, and some of us are not really very much aware of self-compassion and probably have a less favorable uh, understanding about self-compassion. Another thing that I will cover is how does resilience can be built by being kind to ourselves, and uh, how we can use our kindness, our gentleness, our understanding towards ourselves to build support and to empower ourselves. All right. So yeah, I think then before proceeding to the content, I would like to spend time to checking in with ourselves. Yeah. Unfortunately, I cannot really see you guys, but If you are joining us right now, please you can take a piece of paper and a pen, okay, or you can also use your phone if it's more convenient, or if you feel more comfortable to type. Yeah. So these checking in activities will be divided into two parts. The first one is to just writing down all our worries, all our thoughts right now. What are the things that are in our mind? Let's put it down on that piece of paper, and also to just express it in your writing. Okay, so I think we can give you 30 seconds to 1 minute to write down all your worries and write down all your concern, everything that is in your mind. Okay, just to free yourself, free some space in your head, so that you can have a more calming. Yeah. All right. So I hope everyone is good with that. Yeah. So then, I will probably give you another 30 seconds. Yeah, before we proceed to the second part of the checking in with ourselves. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for participating in the first step. Now, let's proceed to the second step of checking in with ourselves. Yeah. So I would like to invite all of you to being to be to do this mindfulness activities, basically to just help us to ground ourselves, to be more mindful of how are we feeling physically and also emotionally. All right. So if any one of you who are joining us, please feel free to close your eyes. Close your eyes and then just sit comfortably. Sit comfortably with preferably with a with your spine straight, with an open posture, right? Just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. One more time, a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Right. So as you're paying attention to your breathe in and breathe out, just scan through your body. Scan through your whole body. Notice any stiffness, any tension that you are feeling. Scan how your feet, the soles of your feet, your leg, any tension, any stiffness. Then moving up to your thigh, your torso. Just being mindful of how you're feeling. Okay. And going up to your hands, fingers, maybe your arms, all the way to your chest. Just scan through your body. Notice any physical sensations. Then notice how your shoulder feels, how your neck. Is there any tension that you are feeling? Just notice and try to release. Okay. All right. So take a deep breath in and out. One more time, deep breath in and out. Right. So you can open your eyes again, and then we can continue with the rest of the this seminar, these workshops. Okay. Just gently let yourself open your eyes, come back to the. All right. Okay. So yeah. So this is something that I find quite interesting. Sometimes when when we are trying to be mindful, we are just trying to not to worry. When we are trying to keep ourselves in check, all these thoughts come to our mind, right? Oh, not to be anxious, not to be angry, Maybe some of us are also experiencing like this whenever we are trying to be mindful. Yeah. All right. So there is this activity. Yeah. Actually, I prepare more like an experiential workshop. So please participate. It's not. I know that I cannot really see you, but please feel free to participate. Especially those of you who are in the Zoom. Also, you can participate. Yeah. So this first activity, there are 5 statements that I would like you to respond whether you agree or whether you disagree with this. Okay. So there will it I would really appreciate if you do not really think too much about the statements and just come with the answers with whether you agree or disagree in your first thought. Okay. So right, for those of you who are in the Zoom, maybe you can try to participate also. Yeah, because actually this activity is more about trying to find out your understanding about self-compassion. Right. So being kind to yourself when you are in difficult times is a form of self-pity. Are you agree or disagree? You can write it down on your own notes, or you can write it down. You can type it if you're in the Zoom. You can turn on your camera or turn off your camera accordingly. Okay. Right. So next statement, being understanding and gentle towards ourselves is being selfish and self-centered. Do you agree or disagree? Okay. The third one, your needs are not as important as other people's. Do you agree or disagree? Okay. And the fourth, being kind to yourself is a sign of weakness. Do you agree or disagree? Okay. And last is being kind to yourself means you are not facing up to your difficult emotion. Sorry, do you agree or disagree? Okay. So all these 5 statements are the common myth when we are talking about self-compassion. Actually, being compassion, being kind to ourselves is not a self-pity. Self-pity, it's commonly defined as not acknowledging our strength and our capability to persist through. But when we are talking about compassion, it's more about we are trying to understand ourselves, understand the situation, and also understand our struggle. So in that sense, we are dwelling less on the misfortune. We are trying to gain an understanding of ourselves and in the relation to the situation. Okay. And the second one, being understanding and gentle toward ourselves, is being selfish and self-centered. It's not when we are being understanding and when we are being gentle to ourselves, it's actually increasing our capabilities to help other people because we are more emotionally more stable. We're able to connect better with other people, and we are at greater capacity to deal with conflicts as well. Yeah, and your needs are not as important as other people. It's not correct. I think your needs is as important as other people's because being compassion is about balance between ourselves and other people. So when you keep prioritizing other people, have you ever feel like you're taken for granted? Have you ever feel like you are being uncared for? Yeah, and then makes you feel exhausted. So you cannot take care of yourself, and also that resulted you not being able to take care of other people. I'm so sorry. May I know who is speaking?
It's okay, it's muted now. You can go on.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah. So and the fourth one, being kind to yourself is a sign of weakness. Actually, being kind to yourself, being compassionate to yourself, is a sign of great courage and a great strength that you have. Because when you are being kind to yourself, you are taking the responsibility of what you are feeling, what your struggles are, and it's involved some kind of commitment to face our difficulties, to acknowledge our difficulties and our emotions. Yeah. And being kind to yourself means that you are facing up to your difficulties, emotions, because it's about owning and validating your emotions. Okay, so all in all, I can say that self-compassion is about taking responsibility for things that we might have done or continuously do, and it involves commitment to change it for the better. Right? Okay. Yeah, so this is another cartoon. Sometimes we think that being self-compassion means like not doing anything for ourselves. Means we are just giving ourselves a break. Yes, correct. We are giving ourselves a break. But it's not that we are not doing anything. We are doing a lot of inner work, our inner self work. Yeah. So the definition of self-compassion itself is about being kind and understanding. There are three elements in self-compassion, which is being kind and understanding towards ourselves. Okay. Instead of being harsh and being critical, we are being kind. Second one is understanding that our struggles is part of larger human experience, meaning that many people are also, without discounting our own experience, but many people are also having their difficulties, right? And that is part of being human. That is part of life. Yeah. So it is not our own. It's not only us that are struggling, but other people are there, and that understanding can help us to connect with other people better because we understand their emotions, we understand their struggles. So in a sense, it brings the connection to other people. And then being mindful and being aware of our thoughts and feelings. Yeah. So this is what being self-compassion means: being kind, understanding, and also being aware and being human, basically, right? Understanding our experience as human beings, right? So when we are talking about self-compassion, we are looking self-compassion from this mainly we are looking at this the emotional regulation system, how the we have three emotion regulation system. The first one is the threat. The threat system is the one that is being alert, being on guard. It's keeping us survive. It making sure that we are surviving, making sure that we are safe physically, and it's all about survival, right? So all this, I would say, it's one of the most powerful. It's actually the most powerful system among the three of them, right? And in some cases, when there are throughout our experiences, in some cases where you experience you experience adverse early childhood um, experiences that can further emphasize on this, create this imbalance and further emphasize on the threat, even though as we are growing up, we do not see the same or the similar threat or the physical threat, but our minds remembers that, and that is already kind of like planted in our system. So this is the threat system. And there is the drive system. Drive system is the one who is looking for achievement, striving, looking for achieving things, right? It's so great, it's so good. However, in this time of modern societies with all these um, competitions, with very fast-paced living, it is constantly never enough. It makes us feel like it's never enough of achieving things. It's never enough to achieve more and more and more. And what will happen then? It's kind of like making us feeling like we are not enough. We still need more and more. And when this is becoming overemphasized, then it may not be beneficial. It may no longer be beneficial for us. It actually kind of like damaging us, right? And the third system, this is where the soothing system. This is where the self-compassion is. When it's calm, when it's safe, when you feel like it's so safe to just being yourself, when you feel like you are being taken care of and you're comforted, basically. Yeah. This soothing system are usually are the less access, because in our daily life it's more about thriving, we're thriving, achieving things, and being aware of possible threats. So this soothing system are in many cases is less less developed, or there are imbalance between these three. And this soothing system is what we want to create a balance. It's not, we want to create a balance within the development of these three systems, so that we can identify where are we right now. Are we at this anger, anxious? Then we are at threat. Then we can be mindfully aware of our surroundings, whether there are things that makes us feel threatened. If not, then we can try to activate the soothing system. We can go to the soothing system, okay, instead of overemphasizing and trying to find what is wrong with the situation. And when there is this drive also, rather than to just keep achieving and achieving without, and that makes us feel not good enough, then try to look at it, try to go back, being mindful of those drive, and pull ourselves to the soothing system. When we are aware that we are not harmed, we are comforted, we are nurturing ourselves, and we are encouraging ourselves. All right. So these are how the effect or the emotional regulation system works. Okay. So when we are looking at compassion, emotions, and resilience, how do they actually relate? When we are being compassionate, it prevents us from being judgmental toward ourselves, and that creates less anxiety, less of depressed feeling, or feeling of blue, feeling of sadness, and that can have a better quality of life. We have a better mental health, and sense of well-being. Yeah. And this self-compassion is also help us to acknowledge and less likely to dwelling on our negative emotions, because we are able to acknowledge the emotions. We are taking accountability of it. We are taking the responsibility of it, and we are bouncing back. So this help us to be more grounded in ourselves, in facing challenging moments. We are able to turn ourselves, try to look inside. What are we feeling? What do we need? What can be done to cope uh, with this situation, with these feelings? And being kind to ourselves, taking care of ourselves is actually promotes our sense of self-worth as well, right? Yeah. So then we go to this. Right. So this is another picture that I find interesting. Sometimes, most of the times, I think that is just how our brain is it's wired. When we are talking about survival, we are keep trying to find what is what can be fixed, or what can make us feel more safe, what are not, what can be threatening us and things like that. So then we are focusing more on the so-called the bad compared to what are the good things. Yeah. Right. So this is another activity that I would like you to invite you, all of you, whether you are joining through YouTube or you're joining in the Zoom. I would like to invite all of you to do this next activity. And this is where we can see the difference of being self-compassion. Okay, right. So if you need time, you can uh, take your time to get a pen and a paper, or you can again write it down on your phone, right? So this is what I would like you to I would like to invite you to do. Okay, think about the times when you feel bad about yourself or when you are struggling. How do you respond to yourself in this situation? Right? Please write down how do you typically do and what you say in what how do you say, how do you voice out all these responses that you have inside your mind, those feelings. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes to just reflect on this. Okay, 2 minutes and can start now. Right. Do you need more time? It's yeah, yeah. You do not have to. No, you do not have to talk about it. You can write it down on your own. Um, you can uh, write it down on a piece of paper or type it on your notes on your phone or anything, as long as you can see how you respond to it. All right. So then we go to the next question. Right. Now think about the times when a close friend feels really bad about him or herself or is struggling in some way. How would you respond to your friend's situation? Similarly, write down what you typically do, what do you say to them, and and in what tone do you typically say it or express it? Okay. All right. Should I give you 10 more seconds? Okay. So then I want you to look at both of how you respond to yourself and how you respond to your friends. Did you notice any difference in the way you are responding? If yes, ask yourself why? What could be the reasons? What factors or fears come into play that lead you to treat yourself and others so differently? Yeah. And I think I'll give you another 2 minutes on this. Okay, right. So now it makes me wondering if you have responded to yourself the way that you do, in the same way that you respond to your close friend when you're suffering, how things will be different. What will be how it's gonna change the way you feel, the way you see your own struggles and situation. Okay, another 1 minute here. Just reflect and write down what could be different. What are the changes that can happen? All right. anyone anyone having difficulties or anyone not feeling comfortable with this exercise, you can share with us. All good. Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. Right. So now, just looking at all those lists that you have seen, the things that can be different. How does it make you feel? Yeah. I think it will be great if there are some sharings, or you can make a comments probably in the if you are watching it from the YouTube, or if you are here in the Zoom, feel free to share with us as well if you would like to. Okay, right, and then right. So, thing as I said before, that we are not really that used to being kind to ourselves. Right? It's not something that probably due to many factors. It's not something that we are used to do to comfort ourselves, to be gentle, being kind to ourselves, right? So I'm just wondering if you notice any resistance, any obstacles or fears when you're showing kindness to yourself. Any any struggles that you're feeling when you are trying to be kind to yourself? And how do the fears, obstacles, and resistance help you to understand yourself? What does it tells you about you? So noticing all these fears, resistance, obstacles, and how it help you to understand yourself. How would you like then show compassion to yourself? Yeah. How would you like to extend this compassion, this kindness? How would you like to be kind to yourself? Okay, this is something for you to think about. It's something for you to write down if you feel comfortable to just reflect on this. Okay, right. And then, oh, yeah. So I think that brings us to then the last point. What is self-compassion and what is not self-compassion? Right? When we are being compassionate to ourselves, we are care for our well-being. We are care for our wellness. We are care for our emotion. We care for our how we feel and what we need to do. It's not letting yourself off the hook. If not, it's not being irresponsible or not taking the responsibility. Okay, so it is actually taking the responsibility, and when we are caring for ourselves, caring for our well-being, we are committing an action to take care of ourselves, right? And self-compassion is being sensitive to distress, meaning that we are being aware how we are affected by certain situation. We are aware how certain situation is actually affecting us, impacting us in what way. It's not about immersing in the problems, indulging in our sorrow, indulging ourselves in all those unhelpful or unhealthy behavior. Okay, so self-compassion is about being sympathetic and empathic to ourselves. right? Which then we can extend it to other people. It's not about false positivity. It's not about faking a positive mindset, right? And self-compassion is also about being aware, understanding, non-judgmental. We do not judge how we feel. We do not judge how how we do not judge the way we feel, how we feel, and how come things are like this, how come I'm like this, you know. You're just acknowledging and understanding that this is part of your experience, right? As human beings, and being kind, being understanding about it, right? And being aware of how we are affected. And last and not least is self-compassion is eventually about building your resilience, because it builds your distress tolerance. It gives you a shift of perspective when looking at situations. And that does not mean you are avoiding difficult emotion. In fact, when we are trying to look at your situation, you are trying to understand the situation itself, you are already facing and sitting with that uncomfortable or difficult emotions that you have. And that takes a lot of courage, that takes a lot of strength to be there. Yeah. So I think to end my presentation, to end this workshop, I would like to share these quotes with all of you. Yeah, that self-compassion is a way of emotionally recharging our batteries. We are recharging ourselves so that we can serve others, we can help others, you know, we can give it to others who needs us, and also ourselves, right? It's not being drained or becoming drained by helping others. It allows us to fill up our internal reserves so that we have more to give to those who need us. All right. So I think, yes, that's the end of my workshop. Thank you for joining me. Any questions, you can please feel free uh, to put it in the chat box, or in the comment section, or you can email me at this email. Then I would be more than happy to respond to your questions. Right. So I think that's it from me.
Thank you very much, Erin. So I will just stop the live stream. Thank you very much for watching it on replay or live now. Please make sure that you take the most out of it and you see the email address. So just reach out to Erin. I will just stop the